Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. This is our moment. Do we escalate or do we find an off-ramp? And again, it's a choice. It's a choice, and every one of us gets to make that choice.
Authorities say they now have a suspect in custody after political activist Charlie Kirk was shot and killed while speaking at a rally in Utah. The 22-year-old suspected gunman turned in by a family friend after he apparently admitted to carrying out the attack. So this deadly shooting playing out in front of thousands of people at Utah Valley University, and video of that shooting has now been circulating online. Several people across the country have been fired from their jobs for making comments surrounding Kirk's death. That includes a communications coordinator for the Carolina Panthers, fired after an Instagram post about Kirk. MSNBC also fired analyst Matthew Dowd for comments speculating about the shooter's motives. Here in the Valley, Governor Joe Lombardo also speaking out, saying that the shooting and the comments are a tragic experience for our country.
To expand negatively to a tragedy of this caliber is disappointing. It's disgusting, to tell you the truth. And I believe when people cross the ability of the First Amendment and cause continued harm, that should be addressed directly. I would support any agency that determines that an individual acted inappropriately in their capacity or employment and have them removed as soon as possible.
The social media fallout now making its way here to our Las Vegas Valley. While some people say that their sympathy has limits given some of the comments that the deceased has said, others say so does your First Amendment right. So now some are putting pressure for others to be held accountable for remarks that they've made in the wake of this shooting. News 3's Tiffany Lane is live with details on the consequences that some are facing right now for their words here at home. Tiffany?
Yes, Latoya, we've seen people in all different walks of life, all different businesses, whether education or real estate, that are facing some backlash for comments that they made online. And in some cases, as you mentioned, there have been some consequences even here locally in town. And that brings up the question, what is freedom of speech? When does it apply? And in what cases can you really get fired or in trouble for some of those comments online?
You may have a set of beliefs, but you cannot justify in any way, shape, or form, no matter Republican or Democrat, who saying that someone should be shot in the neck and die.
Some community members angered by social media posts they say were made by two Clark County School District teachers following Charlie Kirk's shooting death at a Utah university on Wednesday. We're working to independently confirm the posts that have screenshots circulating online, but one post reportedly from a high school teacher says, quote, "I can't think of many people more deserving of a GSW or gunshot wound to the neck." This parent says he spoke to the school's principal demanding action.
He should be fired.
Another set of posts, these reportedly from a middle school teacher who posted about watching the Kirk shooting video, quote, "Loved every fraction of a second of it, and it gets better with every watch." And the fallout doesn't stop with the classroom. We've confirmed that Lotus Communications fired local radio operator Bobby Machado for a posting where he said he was glad the world is without Kirk. And Las Vegas Realtor says it's removed incoming director Mark Hoke for comments vilifying Kirk. We reached out to Hoke, but his voicemail was full. In each of these cases, it's further proof freedom of speech isn't freedom from consequences as far as employers are concerned.
If we make statements in public or in other forums like social media and things like that, that our bosses or non-governmental boards and things like that might find offensive, they can take action against us without violating any constitutional right because they're not the government.
Altig says the consequences of those social media sound-offs may not stop with just losing a job.
So if I incite someone to violence, I can then be charged with a crime as a result of that. If I use defamatory now, that isn't a crime, but if I use defamatory statements against somebody, that I can be sued for that, and I could be opened up for liability under that, right?
Now, I also reached out to the radio board operator and did not hear back on the number we believe to be his. Now, as far as the teachers go, from what we know from CCSD is that as of right now, there is no disciplinary action against them, but they are encouraging all employees across the district to refrain from any type of speech that can involve intimidation or harassment, because in those cases, disciplinary action could end up happening. So again, they're giving a warning to anyone who wants to partake in any type of speech that really isn't allowed under district policy.
Well, Tiffany, to that point, though, do they have any type of rules for folks to follow when it comes to freedom of speech in our public schools?
Yeah, I spoke with Altig, the attorney you heard from earlier, Latoya, who essentially said that a teacher generally can't get in trouble for speech outside of work hours. But in some circumstances, if it's while they're working and it disrupts the workplace, that is where there could be some action against them.
All right, Tiffany Lane, thank you so much for that reporting. The district also released a notice that addresses this concern, and it says that the First Amendment allows employees to speak freely as private citizens. However, the district reserves the right to prohibit or limit free speech if it interferes with school activities or an employee's abilities to perform their duties. It creates a substantial interference to the educational mission or operation of the school, or if the speech is used to engage in the harassment, discrimination, or bullying of another person. Adding in a statement regarding recent comments made by employees, they say in part, all district employees are advised to refrain from engaging in speech regarding political violence that causes any of the results listed above. While not every exercise of free speech regarding political violence would create a prohibited result, if the speech causes any of the results listed above, the employee shall be subject to disciplinary action. The district says it has no further comment as it does not comment on personnel matters.